If AI is going to make everything higher quality and more abundant, what's the practical use case of building wealth right now as opposed to like spending it on the things that increase the quality of life?
You're making a wrong assumption that life as it exists is a fixed pie, right? So when you say that everything becomes more abundant and that everything becomes cheaper, right? That theoretically might be true for our world today, but new worlds will be created. What I mean by that is we will always, as humans, we will always come up with newer, greater things that we want to do, right? And those things will become prohibitively expensive and difficult, right? There are levels to life. And so even if life becomes better for everyone today in today's terms, there will be new things that we're going to discover that we're going to want to do in 20 years that if you happen to have more resources, more time, you'll be able to chase. So I don't know what they are, man. But like at no point in history has that not happened.
That is interesting that it would demand some sort of resource, but that's also to assume that that resource would be money because it could be something else. It could be influence. It could be time.
Absolutely.
It could be access. And those things could be way more valuable to attain this new goal that we could have in the future.
I've said this. So if intelligence becomes fully democratized and free, then the type of people and the type of skills that become valuable in the future have nothing to do with conventional intelligence. That's why I'm so focused on content creation right now and working with other content creators, working with people I think have really rare human voices that are like special, because entertainers become super valuable, right? Like people that are charismatic, people that can make you laugh. These other things in life that aren't maybe directly connected to this intelligence layer that's going to become devalued become way more interesting in the future. So listen, we've seen this throughout history, right? Like we kind of like go through cycles where certain types of people, like there's certain times in history where people that are physically strong have an advantage, right? The last 50 years, it's people that were, smart, right? Developers, coders, the nerd class has blown up the last 25 years during the age of technology and might still for a little while, right? As we enter this age of AI. I think once we're actually kind of deeper into this age of AI, I think the creatives are going to flourish. And I say creative loosely because what creative doesn't necessarily mean just what we think of being creative today. Like creative can mean a lot of different things to a lot of different people, but people that aren't valued as much in today's world might become unbelievably valued in tomorrow's world.
Like charisma.
All of it.
You know what's interesting is we were speaking to David Edelman on the podcast, and he owns a percentage of the 76ers, or he owns a percentage of a group that owns a few different sports teams and the like of that. And he said that that was his reason for getting involved with sports, is that he thinks that that's something that you can't necessarily correct or improve with AI. And so it's sort of like this untouchable thing that's going to exist forever that everyone's going to want to
It's an awesome example. It's an awesome example. I completely agree. And there are so many examples like that, right? So like what I would be doing if I was a young person right now, like there's a lot of stuff you should be doing. We talk about this all the time, right? Like learning AI tools so you can like be 10 workers in one and just getting a job and making money, but while you still can, right? The next 10 years. But you should also be thinking about what skill sets become valuable when intelligence becomes commoditized. And you should be working on those skill sets because we all kind of have them, but we don't grow them because historically they haven't been that valuable. Like you might know a little guitar, but you chose to spend your time doing school versus guitar because the guitar wasn't going to take you any place that would allow you to be successful in life. Where I think if everyone has access to lots of money and access to lots of intelligence, and you're trying to get into certain groups or certain rooms or certain people, maybe the ability to be musically talented becomes more important in 10 years, 15 years, right? That's just one example. Or sports, right? Or honestly, like anything.
Is there a part of art that is threatened by AI? Because I have heard a lot of like AI music, and it's not half bad. And I think a lot of the like top performers on the charts right now are AI songs.
Yeah, I thought a lot about it, and I just don't know how that all plays out.
And even charisma. It's like eventually we could have these things planted in our brains that
give
us charisma, and then all of a
like,
sudden, I mean, obviously that could be 5 years past the democratization of intelligence, right? Is like then the democratization of charisma.
I think it's also important, guys, like, again, going back to the birth of electricity, it's naive to think that we could really kind of assess what the world's going to look like in 20 years when we're going through this big of a quantum leap in technology. So you shouldn't get too ahead of yourself. I kind of tell people, just focus on the next 3 to 5 years. If you start making predictions of what it's going to be like in 15 years, you're going to be so wildly off. It's not even really worth your time, because it's just going to change so much. The world's going to change so radically between now and then. By the way, this is why I feel it's really important to be liquid. This is why I love liquid capital markets. And I stopped investing in private markets years ago. So the second that AI started to like really emerge, I was like, I am pulling way back, because it's an unknown. I don't know where the barriers to entry are. I don't know where the moats are anymore. I need to have access to my capital, so as the world changes quickly, I can reroute my capital to where it makes sense, which is very difficult to do with e-liquid investments.
Given probabilities, I see a lot of posts right now comparing today to 2001. And they're showing these charts side by side, showing that they believe we're going to see another uptick up and then just a brutal crash downwards. What are the chances of a market crash to this degree? And what do you think the likelihood is of that happening?
I think it's unlikely, but it could definitely happen. I mean, we're going through a period of creative destructionism where the thing that's happening with AI is so big that we overinvest in it and we really don't know what the hell we're doing. So we're like investing in a lot of companies that are going to go bankrupt, right? And it's moving quicker than any technology we've ever seen before. So there could be a window. This is the thing I always talk about. There could be a window where we make the big investments, but we don't see the fruits of those investments quick enough. That would be my biggest concern. I don't know. It's possible. And anytime the world starts to move this quickly, you have to be honest with yourself that we're becoming more fragile as a result of it. And if we're living in a more fragile world, it's going to become more volatile, and anything could happen. So you have to be mentally prepared for that, which is why I think it's really important to have access to your capital, to be in public markets where you have a lot of liquidity. And if you need to kind of make some moves, right, you can make them quickly. I think everyone that tries to correlate things to the past, that's ridiculous. I was around then and trading, okay? Like feels nothing like 2000.
What did that feel like?
Nothing like it. I hated it. I was working at a .com and I thought every single person around me was a fraudster. Every company was a fraud. It was disgusting. Hated it so much. Every company was just like doing whatever they could to go public and to float complete false business models that didn't make any sense. The internet was growing really slowly. So like there was this thing that could be really big. Everyone was chasing money. They weren't chasing real change. Like they weren't like, the internet was evolving too slow, but we overinvested in it. And like, you know what I'm talking about? How like it was almost like the opposite problem. We invested so much capital in this sector, but it was going to take way, way, way too long for that sector to play out. And so that was the issue back then. Now things are moving so quickly, right? It's almost like we don't even know how it's going to play out.
But then couldn't you argue that it's moving a little too quickly? Now, really quick, every business is asking themselves the same question. How do we make AI work for us? The possibilities are limitless, but guessing is too risky, and sitting on the sidelines is not an option because one thing is certain. If you're not doing it, your competitors are already making their move.
And that's where our sponsor NetSuite by Oracle comes in. It's the #1 AI cloud ERP, trusted by over 43,000 businesses to manage everything from financials and inventory to commerce, HR, and CRM, all in one unified system.
When all of your data is in one place, your AI becomes a lot smarter. It doesn't just guess. It knows. NetSuite intelligently automates routine tasks, delivers real-time insights, and helps you make fast, confident decisions that actually help drive growth.
And it's not just an add-on, it's AI that's literally built right into the system that runs your business, helping you cut costs, improve accuracy, and stay ahead of the competition.
Whether your company is making millions or even hundreds of millions, NetSuite gives you visibility and control to keep moving forward. Honestly, if I were building a business of this size, NetSuite's the only company that I have 100% confidence in.
So if your revenues are at least in the 7 figures, get our completely free business guide, Demystifying AI, at netsuite.com/clips.
Again, the guide is free for you at netsuite.com/clips, netsuite.com/clips, with the link down below in the description. But then, couldn't you argue that it's moving a little too quickly? Maybe we haven't caught up to some of the ways that we're going to be able to take advantage of it in the future, even though it's going to happen.
The issue with how quickly it's moving is that it's creating a more fragile world, and that we aren't spending the time to protect ourselves against the downside of it, right? The things we really don't want to talk about, right? Someone creating a virus, someone, doing bad actors leveraging this technology for bad things, our military becoming less defensible because billions of drones can be operated by third world countries, right? And all of a sudden, our old military isn't as effective against that technology. So it could create an issue for our economy. And then our capital market structure falls apart because people feel like we don't have the stability to invest in capital markets because anything could happen at any moment in time. That's what worries me about a fast-moving technology. The fact that it's moving fast, though, I think prevents us from having a similar issue to 2000 because we're already starting to see the results, right? We're already starting to see that this technology is changing companies in a positive way, like that one I just told you about, and more. But it's not the same. People always go back to try to make these guys. I'm telling you right now, AI is it's in another stratosphere compared to the internet that was created back in 99, 2000 when it started getting big.
What do you think about Steve Eisman, who recently